All right, welcome to the Golden Glory Podcast, the bi-weekly MMO show that dives beneath the surface, asks the hard questions, and uncovers how you, the player, can maximize your impact in-game. Our current focus is the upcoming MMORPG Artcraft from Artcraft Entertainment, Crowfall. This is episode 12, Combat and Coins. We are broadcasting live on Tuesday, May 12th, 2015. Today's mentors are Onrez the Uneconomist. How you been doing these last couple of weeks, sir?
I've been doing well. Been gaming this, that, and the other. I've got me a level 10 smuggler with SWTOR. Some bastard stole my ship, I guess, so I'm trying to chase him down. All in all, I've been enjoying some of the information we've been seeing about Crowfall and excited to talk about it.
Excellent, excellent. Lethality, the Trade Master.
What is up? Not been doing too much gaming, as some of you following Twitter may know, but I have been threatening to start up a little bit of a WildStar thing, so stay tuned for that.
Nice.
Woot, woot.
Woot.
Nice. And Lethality, Arrowwolf, our virtuous hero. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I am in a hotel in Southfield, Michigan on a tablet that apparently can't do web video. So you're going to have to look at I don't know what picture you have up. I can't see the screen, but I'm doing good. I've been playing some Heroes of the Storm, playing some SWTOR. I've got a couple of characters I've been playing through the story missions. That 12x XP has been really awesome because you just have to do the main story missions. Also playing some WildStar. Looking forward to getting some more info on Lethality's group he's starting. I'd like to level up again with some old friends. That'll be fun. Other than that, I am running things off a tablet and 2 cell phones, and that's kind of the way I'm getting things done tonight. Looking forward to the show.
It's dedication. Right. Hey, I got a question. Mike, you sound a little older today for some reason. Why?
Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah, old.
Hotel food will do that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have some aliens have something to say about this.
1, 2, 3.
Uh-oh. To the aliens.
Happy to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
I think they are. We just can't hear them.
That's hilarious. It sounds like one of the chipmunks is singing "Happy Birthday," but at like double the normal speed. So
It was a group of aliens.
It was a group of aliens singing.
Yes.
You guys missed it.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I figured if we sang it was going to be terrible. So
there you go.
You're right, Franklin. This was much better. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. There's nothing better when you're stuck in a hotel on your birthday than to have your friends cue aliens to sing "Happy Birthday" to you.
Hey.
They
flew in special. They flew in special.
That's right. 41 years young today.
Such a baby.
Enjoying life. So no, looking forward to talking some Crowfall. We got some nice meat to chew on this week.
All right, well, let's get to my introduction. So I'm Chief Sarkhan, the completionist. This last couple of weeks, I've been playing almost zero. I have been doing a lot of writing, though, and trying to get back to normal family routines. Yeah, so hopefully gaming will come up soon after this next trip I get back from. Doing a lot of jet setting lately. I'm trying to take after James. I need those frequent flyer medals. But yeah, life has been good. Life has been happy. And let's get on to the news.
All right, here we have the latest from the G&G News Desk. There are some big changes that will be coming to the web forums and the store on the official Crowfall site. A post recently let us know that there's soon going to be a new login page. There'll be the ability to store currency in the page. Looks like people will be able to kind of sell back certain parts of their packages for store currency that they could use to purchase other things. There is also 2-factor authentication coming, which is very nice for those security conscious. There'll be the ability to gift packages, as well as people who are current Kickstarter backers will be able to purchase additional Kickstarter packages to give away. And that's huge, because we know the Kickstarter packages are pretty lucrative. So there will soon be the ability to get another Kickstarter package to give away. So for example, if somebody has a spouse or a best friend that really feel like they missed out on Alpha 1, but they want the deal, they have that opportunity coming soon. There's also possibly going to be the ability soon, and they use the word maybe here. Name reservations may begin very soon as well. Now, there's more in Crowfall. There's more than just your character name reservation or guild name reservation. Now, keep in mind, there's also other backer rewards involved in naming an area, naming a fallen hero, things like that. So some of those things may be starting soon, but the word has not been officially announced on those. We also know that combat testing, they've announced that they're going to be doing that first. Not going to spend much time on it now because this is going to be one of our major topics today. Also, the coin currency, the liquid currency has been announced as well. Again, I'm not going to really discuss that now because we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. That is right up a lot of you guys' alley, so I'm definitely curious to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Another couple items in the news. Stretch goal, the next stretch goal, they're about 45,000 away from it, and that will be localizing Crowfall in 6 languages overseas in Europe. So that's exciting. And then the next one after that, again, will be the final of the rule sets or the bands, and that's going to be the Shadow. So that's going to be exciting. That's the guild campaign. But that is all I have for the news this week. On with the show.
All right, excellent. Well, we're going to talk about the order that news was released. So the second to the last update was the combat chat. And I thought this was a really interesting topic, and I wanted to get your guys' thought process on their whole action combat and skill combo model that they're kind of going towards. I think they said it was a mix of a Terra and a DCUO online. I guess O and online was the same thing, but you get what I'm trying to say. Sure. And
DCU.
Yeah. So, who wants to go first? I mean, because
can I just chime in and say I played a little Terra, and so I understand the combat stuff, but I'm a passenger on this one. I'm really interested in other people's thoughts because I didn't do any DC online. You know, I mean, I didn't get to see it. I've seen the videos. I've watched people play. You know, I watched some of the people that I follow on Twitch play, but it was not something I actually played myself. So I'm actually kind of interested on if you guys can put it into context in maybe some other games that I have played.
Well, WildStar is going to be similar, but they're kind of going away from that. And this, of the two topics today, this is the one, like the currency and the econ stuff is really, you guys are really into that. I'm more the fighting guy, so I'll go ahead and start this discussion off because to me, I am absolutely thrilled that they understand the importance of combat in an MMO. Now, I understand there are a lot of systems in an MMO and a lot of things that are important for an MMO, but you got to get combat right first. Once that's done, you can continue to build a game. So that's my opinion on it. You have clunky combat or something's weird or off or ability delay, the game's going to lose momentum. And so I absolutely agree that it has to be tackled first. Now, what they're talking about here is some pre-alpha testing. That's what I think there was like 4 pre's in front of it.
Yeah.
So we know that pre-alpha is supposed to start in the summer, but they really haven't told us exactly when the combat testing will happen. Now, they told us who's going to be in it. Basically, they're going to start with the first in the order of signups. The pre-alpha folks are going to start getting invited in. And there will be no NDA. I mean, that's amazing that they're not going to do an NDA. I love the comment today. I was watching that. If you haven't seen it yet, any of you watching or listening, there's the MOTD podcast that they did, and they did an interview.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because Gordon on that podcast said, hey, listen, we're going to be testing it. Anyone can stream it, YouTube it. So it's on us to make a good product, and if it's not good, hey, it's pre-alpha. Who cares? It's like he's just like, if it's good or bad, so what? I just love that attitude. They're like, hey, listen, we're in process. We're making something. It's not done. But in my opinion, I think you get combat right. It can endure a few other issues. You get combat wrong, and it's almost insurmountable in my opinion. So that's kind of my thought on it. Again, my perspective, the way I play games, combat is the most important thing. So, I mean, the most important thing as far as the way I play, because I'm the guy that's out there fighting, I'm killing, I'm conquering. So that's my take on the game. So that's my talk.
So
That's my
here's
side so far.
Yeah, so here's my question for you. So they're saying they're mixing action and skill combo model. The skill combo
Yes.
is kind of where I was hoping to get your intake. I know combat's your passion, but let's get to the meat and
Yeah.
the potatoes of the type of combat they're going towards. So they already
Yes.
kind of stepped back from the what we call the WildStar-esque action, where there's lots of telegraphs. They've talked about toning those down or getting rid of them and going to this
Yeah.
skill combo, no UI bloat type system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what's intriguing me. What are you guys' thoughts on that specifically?
Yeah, so the biggest issue that Todd had with the WildStar system was that because you could move the whole time you were fighting, the top half of the body was always disconnected from the bottom half of the body. And he said he just didn't like the way it looked. And so what they want to do is have a combo system so that a lot of your moves are chained after you use other moves. So, for example, if you want to use, and this I'm going to make up a name, Mighty Blow, and you want to use that move because you know it's a hard-hitting move. Well, you have to open up that move by using two other moves first. And so it won't show up on your action bar until you have clicked through the other moves first. And that's basically a combo system. So you kind of have to plan and strategize what combos you want to use when.
Okay. No, I understand that. But, Bill, do you got any thoughts on this? We haven't heard from you yet.
Well, I played Terra for all of a day, I think, unfortunately.
You beat me. You definitely beat me. I think I was a half a day.
And I did not play DC Universe at all. But I like the idea more and more of action-oriented combat. First of all, I'm a big RPG fan in terms of I do believe RPG skills and stats should still play a role in these kind of games. But I'm also a fan, becoming more of a fan of the skill-based. I hate using the word skill-based because it's just a different kind of skill. Where you're using, it's not just simple movement but strategy. But what I'd really like to know more about, and I think, especially with the mention of the combos and things, and there may or may not be someone in chat who could answer this, is are there things that combos that I'd like to know more about the player synergy between players? Like, what could one player do that another player could bank off of to use during combat?
So, Bill, remember like in Guild Wars 2, I could throw down a line of fire, and if you shot an arrow through the line of fire, that would, something like that?
Yeah, super cool. That's an idea of a combo. I don't think it came off that well in Guild Wars 2 because...
No, it didn't. It looked cool, but it didn't work.
Yeah, they were so haphazard in that you could not, without severe coordinate. They were more like if you caught it, it was a bonus. I don't think they were as well received in terms of being able to set them up and use them strategically. Now, I had not played that game at the high levels of World versus World or anything like that, so maybe it's more of a thing. But I just have one of the things that way back in the day, and I guess still Lord of the Rings Online did, is they had their what they call the conjunctions or something. They had group maneuvers, and I really haven't seen a lot of MMOs really take that path, and I don't know if Crowfall is the right place anyway, but the word combos got me thinking about how players could bank off of other players in combat, and I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah,
it was so frustrating in Lotro when two of the people in your group didn't know how to make those work. Because if you got a good group, man, when you could get those awesome opportunities where everybody used their moves and everything synergized, it was amazing. That was so rewarding.
Yeah. Because obviously Crowfall's PvP driven for the most part and everything, and it would be you don't if a group, a traveling band of of marauders like ourselves, if we're so good that we have our combo, our sort of attacks, we could go through the countryside and we could effectively maybe one or two shot every player we meet because of the skill we use in our play, not because of our stats, but because if there's a way to do that we can sort of bank off of each other. I think that's just interesting, and it works neat in the concept of PvE stuff like a boss fight would be cool, but we're not going to really probably see that kind of thing here. So in a PvP environment, it might mean a little bit of a different approach, but I still think it'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that in the PvP type environment. That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
So I like the concept of the combo system, but I have some serious reservations. And so here are my thoughts on the combo system that has me kind of hesitant. I like the idea of it keeping the UI bloat down. And it makes complete and absolute sense from an artistic standpoint and the flow of abilities to build up. My concern is the predictability. If you see them do action 1, you know they're going to do action 2, action 3 to get to the most powerful ability every single time, unless they sacrifice and stop it because they need to get out of the line of fire of whatever you're doing. And to me, that becomes a very boring system, for lack of a better term, because you have no flexibility. Now in Terra, you could choose your combos to a certain degree. You could say, well, I hit this and then my next ability is that. But that's not what they described in their combat chat. They were talking about Onslaught 1, Onslaught 2, Onslaught 3. And it seems like you sacrifice your action aspect of your combo for the sake of hitting tier 3 of your ability. For the most powerful, hard-hitting thing, you're going to sacrifice action if you have to stop the chain. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, if it depends on obviously depends on how many skills are useful, or how many different combinations are useful. But you're right. If a champion comes up to me, and I know I can survive his first 2, I can save my block for the 3rd every time.
Right. Exactly.
So you're right. If that player is playing predictably, that knowledge is a counter. So that's definitely a design challenge, is to give players the flexibility to not be predictable. So I share that concern.
So I had this thought, and I don't even know if it's doable, but the idea would be you have certain abilities that you could sidestep a chain and use, and it would extend the timer to come back to it. So active blocking doesn't stop your onslaught chain, but it gives you a chance to sidestep. And then other abilities would completely reset and you'd have to start all over again. But you'd have this mix of being able to actively do things, not just in your movement, but in your ability choices in certain situations. So, somehow bucket them that these are abilities that you can sidestep to, but still come right back to your finishing move if you do it within a certain amount of time, or a certain action still lets you follow up. Otherwise, it's going to be completely predictable, it's going to become completely stale, and it's going to kill the action piece of the whole thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, good point. See, go ahead, Bill, and then I'll say my thought.
All right, no, real quick. Black Wolf brought up a good point in chat. Specifically PvP. You can get, especially in single player games, you can get in a rhythm of certain combos and moves and lack of a better word, rotations. That really works well in single player games against sort of NPC AI. But in PvP, I can't really think. And again, I did not play Terra for very long, and certainly not long enough to get into PvP to see how that worked out. But I think that is a unique take on how combos have to work, possibly.
Well,
yeah, those deep combos are really hard to get to in PvP. Any PvP game I've played where a move takes 2 or 3 seconds to load up, you almost never can hit with those. You really have to maximize your quick hits, your mobility hits. So it's going to be very interesting.
Well, which brings me to the other part of my reservation. Well, if that's a true statement, and 90% of the time you're never going to get to your most powerful hard-hitting combo, the 3rd in the chain, or maybe it's only a 2 ability chain and you can't even get to the second one, and then now we've created all these abilities that everybody wants to use and never can, and so it's a complete waste to the system. So you've invalidated the combo system again, simply for the fact that you just can't use them unless you're just in a really unique situation. Because it's a PvP game.
I think that's the difference between...
I was just going to chime in, though, that, there is a difference between, in PvP, 1v1 and 2v2 trying to
Exactly
get
what I was going to say.
But on the other hand, if it's group v group, and depending on, I've got Airwolf out front blocking for me, and I'm a range character trying to get to my third, well, that, like Lethality said, the three of us learn how to work together. I may be much more likely to get deep into my third slot based on positioning, based on strategic, based on planning. So maybe it is where it does take a little more skill and planning to get to it, but we're able to get to it based on overall positioning and planning as working as a team.
No, and I completely agree with that. I'm just concerned with, one, you're going to have the tirades as soon as one class can constantly get to the third ability and the others can't, with or without coordination. And two, just the lack of use of it, and so why even design for that last ability that everybody wants to get to and can't? It's that balance, and I hate to use the term balance because we don't really want balance in characters, but balance in the ability to play your character to its fullest once you have the skill to do it is important, right?
Right.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
Anyway, that's just my take on the whole action combat and skill combo.
Hey.
I love where they're going. I just hope they make it work.
I agree with you 100%, which is, again, why I'm so happy that this is getting tested first.
I hate to
think
say
it's
that
the absolute right thing.
I love the fact that there's going to be collision and some physics involved, because I mean, I'm old. Let's just be honest. I'm old, and I'm old and slow. But as part of my old basketball things, the pick and roll, the picket fence, those are real things. So when I've got two champions out in front of me, or I got a champion and a Templar out in front of me, and I'm shooting ranged, there is some really interesting things where if you can't get to me, Cowhead, then I'm going to be able to blow you away when I roll up to my third piece, because it really can make a difference by overall teamwork and positioning work. I find that almost enough to make me care about PvP, which in itself should be, I should have some sort of fanfare going on behind me.
Yeah. Great question from chat real quick, and it was directed to you, Chief. I don't know if you saw Black Wolf's question. What do you think about building your own combos?
Well, what I typed in there is, it depends on how you can build them and how much flexibility you have, because they're still tied to the whole don't want your graphics to look funky, because you're making a combination that they didn't design it to flow between. So now you're back to the original reason of why Terra and some of those others didn't work well. You had that disjointedness in the graphics. So they would have to design even more combination potentialities to make it look right. So, I mean, it's there's that give and take. Do we go for the look? Do we go for the capability to get to all the abilities? That's where, like you said, they're testing combat really early, and I think they need to, because they've already said they've already reset combat once or at least twice already. Right. From what they showed us already.
Right now.
Yeah.
Now the movement is the big question mark. So WildStar, we had lots of movement. We could pretty much move while casting everything. In fact, I was on an Esper the other day. You can now cast during all the Esper spells now, or you can now move while casting. Terra, you can't. And at first that seems restricting, and then you're like, well, there's a risk versus reward. If I'm going to plant my feet to wind up for my best move, I'm going to sacrifice movement. The question is, how long am I going to be stationary? That's the big question I have, which is why I am really looking forward to getting my hands on that combat, because I want to have some input on saying, hey, you know what, I'm losing control of my character too long. Yes, the animation looks cool, but instead of losing my ability to move for 3 seconds, we need to shorten that up. To me, that's so important. It has to feel right. The controls have to be an extension of the player. If you're wrestling with controls or it feels wonky, it pulls you out of the game world, and all of a sudden you're not in a world. You're not fighting. You're just clicking buttons, and I don't want that.
So what you're saying is somebody needs to donate us Ruby or above to the whole team so we can get in there and test, right?
I want my hands on that. I want that. I'll tell you what, it's my birthday. Tom, it's my birthday, Blair. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I want to just point out something that that's rolling into chat. So I'd put into chat in response to Black Wolf's and Chief's dialogue about the changing related to Onslaught 2 to Onslaught 3 is, one thing we don't know a lot about yet, we're all very excited about, is disciplines.
Right.
So if let's Onslaught 1, 2, and 3, and the range, we all know the default Onslaught 3 of the knight is something, right? It's a big all-around sweep out front. Could a discipline shift you to sub-branches like Blickstef is actually kind of mentioned that they're looking at, where it's 3A, 3B, 3C? So maybe 3A has a knockback, 3B actually extends range. I mean, I think there's some interesting things related to disciplines that maybe could add some less predictability, because you're not going to be able to look at someone and say they have a werewolf stone equipped.
Well, right,
So
but
you're only gonna know that 2 is going to lead to 3, but the outcome of 3, maybe it's because of it's not easily blockable, or you take half damage on block because they chose a discipline that rolls out. So I think there is some interesting subpaths that maybe can come from the use of disciplines.
Well, that still doesn't answer the question of, or the potential problem of, in PvP, the odds of getting to the third tier regardless. So I understand what you're saying.
One-on-one, that's one-on-one or two-on-two. But again, in a true scrum, unless you're breaking yourselves up one-on-one on two-on-one, even using your block on me, does that leave yourself open for onslaught from lethality? So I understand where you're coming from, where it does give a sense of predictability, but I would think that the way that this is being set up, there's going to be just as much chance of scrum-based mismatched conflict than truly me versus Aerowolf trying to counter each other's second move to get to our third move.
Yeah, if we're in group PvP, I agree with you, James. If we're in group PvP and I'm tanking, I am going to do my best to make sure that my DPS can get to their best moves. So I'm going to do my best to protect them and shield them, head them off with the pass, whatever it is, stomp them, hit them in the teeth, whatever, because I'm going to want my DPSers getting to their big moves. I think in one-on-one, Chief, you're exactly right. I mean, one-on-one, it's going to be so furious. I don't know how people are going to get to their best moves in one-on-one or two-on-one. But in full group sieging and the larger scale PvP, I think you're going to see a lot more.
Yeah, no, and it's a good discussion, and it's all speculation, and that's what we're here for. But we have to just see more, understand more. I think we are all in agreement that the action and skill combo is definitely the right direction to go. We just need more answers, and like Dime Store is just talking about there, some of these combos might be combos to break other people's combos, and so there's lots of synergy and dynamic between classes and disciplines and all of that stuff that's going to make this extremely interesting, and we're just going to have to hope that they do it right. So
I realized I was on mute for the last minute and a half. I was trying to
nice.
Bring
him in.
He's saving it up and gonna drop a knowledge bomb.
Not now. I forgot it all. No,
well, since you're late to the party on combat, how about you lead us off with the coins? Let's just jump right into the next one. You're up.
I don't want to lead with that one.
Come on now, don't be shy.
Nope, not going to do it.
All right.
I want to say this though. I want to say this before Bill starts. I was cracking up. Blickstev commented in chat. He says, the PvP show, Crowns and Crows, we're talking about Econ their whole show. And the Econ Focus show us, we're talking about combat. And I want to say that was a birthday gift to me, because this is something I really wanted to talk about.
It really is.
They let me, because I'm the virtuous hero. I'm out on the field. I'm wanting to fight. They're the guys that are equipping me and helping me. But that was a very nice gift to me, allowing me to talk about combat, and I've really enjoyed this. Like I said, I just can't wait to get my hands on it. But this next subject, I know, Bill, you had posted on the forums, because now we're going to move on, obviously, to the big post that came out just, I think it was today, right? I don't know. I'm on a training trip. The days mixed together. So you had kind of posted on the forums about it and kind of sparked some discussion. So obviously, just to educate those out there that haven't heard it, the Crowfall team has announced that they will have a craftable liquid currency. It's not liquid, but it's a coin currency. It's a liquid gold. No, it's an actual
whiskey. Whiskey is now the currency.
Whiskey, yes, but it's a currency that'll be craftable in game and usable in all types of different places. Player vendors, the store to upgrade buildings and whatnot. It's stackable, still in inventory, so it's still something that's in your bag. It's not going to be in the safe place somewhere. But so that was officially announced today. So, Bill, I know you had kind of posted a concern or some thoughts on that. Why don't you start us off with kind of your take on that?
Sure. Well, I think it's probably being made more of a bigger deal than it is. The initial reaction, or some of the initial reaction, and mine to an extent, was just the typical, gamer knee jerk about, oh, that's bad. No, why is that happening? Because we had. I guess early on the concept was dropped that the currency would be allowed to develop between the players. It would be able to emerge, how trade would happen. And I was really kind of looking forward to that as a concept. In reality, big deal. So the game has coins. We can make the coins, and they're still lootable, and they're still an item and everything. But I think for me, it was more just it seemed at the time like it was a serious. Now, it was a serious suggestion or a serious design idea, possibly, that currency wouldn't be a thing that would manifest on its own. So, but obviously, we are seeing, I believe, Crowfall. It feels like from all that we've seen recently with crowdfunding and early access and that kind of thing, it feels like Crowfall is earlier in a lot of those processes than a lot of other games. So we are literally seeing, that these decisions being made, and so they, that was clearly too early to make a call on that, and as designers, they're evaluating, all right, how's this really going to work? And they thought through systems, they thought through, player to player systems, player to NPC systems, and all that, and it sounded like this is something that just had to be done. I was excited for seeing an emergent sort of thing happen that maybe I've never seen before, but the game design has to trump that somehow, because the game has to work for everybody. So, I think players should be sort of ready for those things, because there's going to be a lot of change between what has been said and what will happen eventually. But on the other hand, I still would love to see some chances taken, because that's what these great little sort of crowd-funded, more niche games can do. They can take risks that they couldn't with a bigger publisher. So that's why I was a little disappointed, but I don't think it's that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things.
Well, Bill, I think you make a good point, though, and I say this because I think in our history of gaming, in our history of watching games being developed, there's always that little fear that player control is going to slowly be taken away, or player creativity is going to slowly be replaced by systems. And I think at first glance, this kind of looked like that, where, here we thought we were going to have this system where we could trade and barter and kind of be in control, and we could choose the currency. Now all of a sudden it's chosen for us. That's what it looked like at first glance. So I kind of, share that a little bit. And I think that's natural for us to go, wait a second, red alert, is it happening? So I think that's very normal. Now, James, I was curious, and I want to get all your guys' thoughts on this, because again, I'm not the econ guy, so I'm going to kind of want to get all your guys' thoughts on this. Now, James, because I know econ, that's your bag, man, that's your thing. So, I mean, it's so funny too, because some of your comments, I don't want to repeat. Not that they were bad, but you had some really interesting takes on this, and I'm curious to hear what your thought is.
Well, first of all, I have to say that I was at work, so I honestly faked a call. So I have an app on my phone that I hit a button and it rings like it's a call. So I'm sitting in a meeting and I get the notice that the thing came out and it's about currency. So I hit my button, fake a phone call, and actually left a meeting to go out and read the.
He never uses this ever. No,
I don't use it very often, because if you use it too much, people get suspicious. So I went out and read it. And then I'm luckily before I made any comments, I went back into my meeting and worked the rest of the day. And so I really enjoyed some of the dialogue that was on the forums. I think again it's still too early until we understand how the sinks really impact the currency, I still have a lot of gray area, and I think it's really, really easy to get too far down the rabbit hole related to it. But I still see the ability for us to barter. I mean, I see currency having immediate impacts in EKs, of course, because we're buying things with them for EKs. But the import and export rules based on where we're going to go campaigning means that we're not jumping in. Remember, we're coming in, don't imagine me as Arnold Schwarzenegger because I don't have the physique for it. But we're landing in the Dreg specifically as Arnold. You know, who's going to spend the time on their first ore that they run across to turn it into coins? No, you're going to spend the time to make it into a sword because I'm going to hand it to Aerowolf so he can get me to the next place. So even it's going to be barter for a period of time in campaigns. It's going to transition to then the hoarders like myself are going to get involved. And then it's going to come down to, why does lethality actually want a gold coin in campaigns? What does he need to buy in campaign? So I think there's still tons and tons for us to learn about how the community and how the sinks of coins are going to impact it. I actually like it. I like the fact that it's still a risk to inventory.
Yeah.
But I do think, and I know Blixtev, and I know Pan's in the chat, and if I have my greatest concern is not about pay to win. My greatest concern is not about balance. My greatest concern is about exploits. Because if you pick a game in the last 7 to 10 years that have had problems with its economy, it's about duping. And 90% to almost 99% of all duping comes from an inventory exploit, either trading it with a friend or finding a way to glitch and duplicate something. So now that we've moved something that's worth money, coins, into inventory, we've created risk, which is awesome. We've created conflict, which is awesome. But we've also increased our chance of seeing it get out of control related to duplication. So that would be probably the most that I kind of got out of the dialogue today. Is I'm excited about it. I think it'll be great. I think the Crowns and Crows guys had a lot of good points about it, worrying about the sinks related to making sure how it's spent in the cash shop, and I'm excited to see how the devs get a chance to dig into things and talk about it more on forums. But I mean, I myself have uncovered more than a few dupe bugs, and of course I turn them in after I test them multiple times. But because it's got to be replicable. You got to be able to replicate it, right? I mean, what's the point? If I can't replicate it, then it's not really a bug. But I worry. I worry about inventory currency only because of the duplication and bugs.
Yeah. What? Just recap for me. How would this be even potentially tied to a pay-to-win scenario or a cash?
Well, the concern that I've been hearing, and it's not. I mean, they have the same amount of information we have, so it could be a concern. Right. Is that if I can turn my coins and I can buy from a small keep to a middle keep, let's say, right? And if that small keep to a middle keep is not soul bound and I have to spend it, I can then spend either VIP tokens or something to generate something maybe differently that I would sell to someone else, and you know what I mean? And it could really skew where PvP people, if they don't have access to coins or whatever, then what am I going to do? Can I, if it's not used as a sink, you know what I mean? If I'm not using my stack of gold coins to buy my keep and it's gone.
Yeah.
If I can just buy my keep, and now because I can hold on to my keep and I can flip it for more gold coins later, then people like me may have an unfair advantage in the economy. And that's a fair concern.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So here's my take on the whole gold and the fact that players can craft the coins. I see numerous potentials here. I agree with most of James's concerns. And that comes down to, can you buy something in the store with real money and convert it to in-game currency directly? I mean, that's a whole separate topic that I don't want to get into. I would rather focus on the potentials of the currency as it stands. EKs have limited import-export rules. Currency is essentially an ore. If you were to break down the import-export rules, I'm assuming that they would fall into the same thing. You can only take so much out, you can only bring so much in. So now it comes down to a tactical decision while you're in a campaign. When do you stop and craft coins, vice swords? When do you take those coins and stick them in the
Vault.
the vault, the whatever they call it, I always forget. Vice, keeping them in your inventory, because there's going to be very little use for coins in the PvP arena. So there's a couple of things that I thought about that would be awesome. Okay, so you only have certain crafters that can make money. Now, what about if those crafters can only turn gold coins to save on inventory space? Because it's completely an inventory management system. You have a stack of ore that takes up 10 slots in your inventory. You convert it to coins, and now it takes up 2 slots. Well, obviously, if you're running out of space, converting it to coins makes sense. You bring it back to the EK if you can export it, and you use that to pay your taxes. But let's take it a step further. What if while you're in the EK, your crafter's not very good? So now it takes... You can only make a gold coin that's 80% pure or 60% pure. So it takes up more space. You've still gotten less inventory, but it's not as good of coin. But once you get back to the EK, you have a professional banker. Maybe it's somebody with limited ability to play the game. I was tweeting with somebody today that felt concerned about her ability to play the game. But maybe she becomes a professional banker and she can turn any low quality coins into 100% pure quality coins. So now your inventory space is reduced, but you still have the same amount of value, right? There's so many different ways that this currency system can work without being exploited, without causing problems, and ties directly to the amount of chickens or whatever else that is a barter system, you know? So I think, like everybody's saying, people are jumping the gun with their concerns with this. I think there's so many positive ways this can go and still be a player-controlled market. It's just on how are coins created, when can they be created, and how are they moved and transported. Having them in your inventory is going to change things so dramatically because, you know, you get out in a fight. Do you want a stack of coins that makes you rich? Or do you want a backup sword in case that sucker breaks? Because we still have item decay. You know, people are forgetting all the extraneous pieces that connect to that inventory management. And it's not just about money. Us econ PvPers are going to be, oh yeah, I don't care about an extra sword. I want my backpacks full of money, right?
I'm going to need an extra sword for the first 38% of the campaign.
Right.
And then when I hit 38.1, maybe I'll be hiding behind a wall somewhere and I don't have to worry about it.
Right, but like they were just saying, okay, you turned all your ore into coin. Well, now you need ore to craft something else. Crafters that are not coinsmiths don't care about the coin per se, except as an easy mode to transport. But if they want to use that ore, they got to reconvert it, which comes at a loss. You know, these are all tactical decisions when it comes to how are you going to use money and when do you need it. Because
so I have a question and I want to throw out. It just popped in my mind and I don't want to lose the momentum. So here's my concept. It's a magical game, right? We're dealing it's magic, right? Alchemy was brought up. What if I convert 20 ore to 5 coins?
Okay.
Can I convert those coins back to ore?
Sure, but it's going to be at a loss.
Well, absolutely. So from an inventory management standpoint or from a concept of, you know, the ability to manage it, it's all about what that loss is going to be versus if I only have so much space to come out, you know, maybe there's something to be, you know, if I accumulate so much coin, because I thought, you know, Valor made a good point. Well, why, you know, if you're sitting on a pile of coins, what good is it if you don't have the ore to craft something you need? Well, maybe the ability to go both directions at a loss would allow those resources to be vulnerable to multiple sinks, right? Because ore in its raw form is really only usable to be crafted as a sink, which then if it's salvaged, then you have the extra loss. But what if ore is also crafted into coins, and then coins can be equivalently salvaged for a loss, just like weapons can, because I need the raw materials back.
Yeah, but if you take 20 ore, make 5 coins, then turn 5 coins into 10 ore, it seems like you're really not helping yourself. So it comes down to.
I guess when if you're in a crunch or you need that sword or whatever, you've made a choice to go one direction. You could say, well, I've crafted this extra sword, but I really don't need this extra sword. Now I need some boots, so I'm gonna salvage this sword to build some boots. You know what I mean? Because I'd rather have I still have this other good working sword, but I still need some boots.
Right, and that's why I'm trying to say there's lots of flexibility in the system because, well, okay, now you've got coins. You've got this side, so now it's to decide, do you recycle the coins or do you use the coins to pay for a building and then whatever the output of that building is potentially, and you trade chickens for somebody else for a pair of boots. That is still there. It's still a viable trade option. The difference is inventory management and when and where do you want to use something. It comes down to decisions, because I remember my days back in EQ. Oh my gosh, talk about inventory nightmare when it comes to crafting. Yeah. Just to cook, I could use 3 banks worth of stuff, plus I would sell stuff on vendors and have it completely available right next to me because I couldn't hold it all, but I would swap in and out as I was trying to make recipes. I mean, it becomes a nightmare to manage all those different things. Well, now in Crowfall, they're giving us different options, one being inventory reduction coins that can be player made. We have to know how they're going to be made, how effective those coins are compared to other things, and when and where to use them. So there's a lot of unknowns, but I think there's lots and lots of good potential. There's still a lot of bad potential that needs to be addressed, but I think it's a good thing because how many games do you know that you can actually craft your currency?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, even that alone is sort of a unique thing, and I kind of think that's neat. So, but
so hey, Airwolf, like you said, you're not huge on this piece, but you've got only 3 discipline spots, right? You 3 at a time. So knowing where currency comes from, are you more likely or less likely to carry a stone in your bag for a miner, and maybe you know what I mean, to swap or not?
No, I know, James, I know where my coins are going to come from, and it won't be from a rock.
Nice.
Okay, my coins are going to be coming from, and let me tell you why I like this system, and it's for completely different reasons than what I've heard so far. I like this system because that means those people running out in the world have more value in their backpack now.
It just means it's coins just make it easier. That means I don't have to go back to the vault. I can kill 4 people instead of 3.
I will be slotting everything I can for killing.
Yeah.
Well, let's take it even further. Okay, you steal a cart full of ore. That thing is hard to hide. You go kill a bunch of people for a backpack full of gold. If there's a possibility to somehow hide that in the world by digging a hole and safeguard it until almost to the end, and then you go grab it and run it to the vault, it's easy to find a stack of ore somewhere. It's a little harder
James,
to...
well, I tell you what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be... I know we kind of used Arnold Schwarzenegger to talk about James a little bit, but I'm going to be like, get to the embargo!
Go!
Okay, I'm gonna save as much as I can, share as little as I can. That's the way I'll be playing. I will be keeping just enough to get me where I want to go and to do what I want to do.
So can we chime in though? The one caveat that I found a lot of interesting people slightly poke at, but then actually surprisingly leave alone, was that mobs could drop coins. So yeah. I guess if they're humanoid mobs, I guess I can understand that maybe they would accumulate coins. I sure hope that, it's not like the concept of, oh, look, I killed this giant slug and he happened to have 32 coins and some stuff in his backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless that slug eats his soldiers and, he digested the whole dang thing. But you're right. I mean, what you kill and what it drops, needs to be conducive to the environment. And they did say it was going to be rare. So it's not like you're going to go, oh, well, I'll just farm these for the next 10 hours because I know OnRes has collected stats and these are the best things to farm for gold.
So that's true.
It is true. I've helped you do it.
Yeah, it's true.
Spreadsheets. We got it. But the fact that those same type of moms, if it's humanoid and the potential to have coins on it, it should also be the potential to have a sword. It's a humanoid. It was a soldier. You killed it. The potential is there, but it should be rare because we're all supposed to be raised by crows when we died on the battlefield. So I think it's still going to come down to crafters making the stuff. Sure. But, there is that potential, so.
Well, and here, Lethality, you've led large groups before, and so have you, Mike. And I know Chief has done a lot of. I'm not a leader. I'm a follower of games. But understanding how a player is going to utilize the resources that they pick up early in a campaign, that's going to make or break, right? I mean, that initial crest of momentum to gather resources to, like the example that Blickstev and those guys shared about, I'm going to take this ruin and I'm going to repair this ruin and I'm going to make it into where we're going to play defense. And I need to go gather a bunch of stone to create a floor so those damn rodents can't dig their way in, and all those things. So it'll be interesting and telling to see how the heavier PvPers watch the resource support that people bring into their teams, and they're going to recognize that, if not this campaign, but the next. Yeah.
So there's a lot of chatter in the here on the forums and everywhere about they're asphyxiated with what you can buy in the store and what you can trade it for, and it's kind of diverging from the gold coins itself. But the concept is
whether it's gold coins or rocks, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's still resources. It's still resources. I think of in Guild Wars when the economy, Guild Wars 1, when the economy got so inflated that gold didn't really matter, so people started trading globs of ectoplasm. It didn't matter. Ectos had a value, and that value was determined by what people decided it was worth. And so, I would not be shocked if there were people that, found other trading, besides just gold. I think gold had to be done, though. A coin currency had to be done because of the vendor system. Imagine the nightmare of having your EK filled with all kinds of vendors and needing multiple chickens and rocks and whatever. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, how do you tax a rock? We don't have any rocks. If you got chickens, but you don't have rocks. How do you tax that? So you had to have a liquid currency, but that liquid currency is still resources. So to me, I don't really have a big deal with. I don't see how suddenly when something becomes a coin, how suddenly it's scary and bad. To me, it's just. In fact, they've hinted at this for a while. This that's why I tweeted earlier today. This is not a surprise. They've talked about kind of looking at the idea of a liquid currency for a while. So, to me, this is just, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, in history, isn't that why currencies were created anyway? So people didn't have to lug around gold and the like?
Yep, pretty much.
So,
well, that's why we have paper money now, because even when they went to the gold standard, it was still too dang heavy to carry, and it made it really easy to steal, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, we evolved to paper because it's the equivalent of the gold, assuming that the gold is locked away safe, right?
Yeah, I did find it interesting, and it was brought up by the Crowns and Crows group too, about will there become a default bank based on how our inventory is? We don't really know how inventory is going to be at the EKs, and based on who accumulates and stuff, will there be some sort of, we've talked about, will the quartermaster become something? Will a banker be something? It could be. I'm still hopeful, Bill, from that concept of something that's organic, based on understanding how people play and how the different campaigns interact with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, there was an interesting thread on the forum sort of related to this. talking about local or I guess global banks. Do we have different places to put in? And really, you can't have these sort of game-wide, worldwide banks for currency, because that would defeat the whole purpose of needing to, transport what are effectively resources to get them to where you could take them out of the campaign. It was kind of interesting, a different sort of thought.
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I would really like there to be a player-managed bank. And that would give players that really can only play in the EK a purpose and a reason to play the game. And so they could be you pay them a small fee and they secure your gold, because you can't steal from an EK bank unless somehow they make it PvP and you can have raids and you can have Onres trying sneaking in the back door, digging a tunnel to steal everybody's gold. But it's a service. Like in EVE, you had players that would broker trades, but let's call the banker in the EK a long-term broker. They just hold it for you for a set fee for a certain amount of time, and you can come back and get it. But you could also have your own private storage locker in your EK that's not a bank. But maybe it doesn't do anything for you, So maybe the banks do. Maybe they could broker trades, or, hey, I've got 5,000 gold coins and I want 10,000 lumber. Is anybody interested? So they could almost become a market hub, but not the short term. They're like long-term investments, call it a stock market. I don't know. I'm just speculating. There's different things that could be done to make life interesting and bring all this and still be player controlled. They just provide some kind of system that allows you to do it. Of course, you run into that philosophy. Well, the banker decides to rip everybody off and just spends the money. But
the last really comment I have, and I know we're getting real close on time here, but the last comment I have is someone in the forums had mentioned, since gold ultimately comes from the ground, right, mining. Somebody said on the forums, should we not call them gold farmers? Should we call them gold miners? And somebody chimed in and says, no, I'm going to call them free kills and free money.
Absolutely, they're just walking loot piñatas. Okay, that's all that they are.
So.
Oh
boy.
So one last thing. It's like one thing we didn't cover, but I'm encouraging people to go back out. I'll throw the EK thing back into the ring. We had an EK update that showed the EK builder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It showed how kind of you can design and set sub rules based on areas. Yeah. So I'm like, oh my god, the fun that I'm gonna have creating like areas that you stumble into PvP is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be like a little maze that you're gonna have to walk around to avoid being PvP flagged. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah,
as
James,
you watch from the side.
I'm cracking up.
I saw that.
They're not gold miners. They're gold diggers. Gold diggers.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. I don't care if anyone else thought it was funny. It was good for me.
Yeah, but calling Onres a gold digger, wouldn't you have to put like the Black Widow tag on there too? Yeah, I'm your best friend.
Whatever it takes.
I'm really hoping some guild wants to promote me to banker. I look forward to some guild making really bad choices. Is what I'm saying.
There we go. Well, guys, I think we are out of time. It's kind of all we have time for tonight. Great discussion. Awesome interaction from the chat today. Thank you guys for coming out, and I apologize if my voice sounds like I'm on the phone. For those of you that didn't catch it at the beginning, I'm in a hotel talking on a tablet. So if my voice doesn't sound like itself, that's why. But all episodes like this one are all uploaded to iTunes. They're also posted to our website, goldandglorypodcast.com. Typically, after a live episode, toward the end of the week, we typically get the episode up. Feel free to visit our website for the episode once it's live on the site. And as far as our cast goes, of course, I am Mike, also known as Arrowwolf. You can find me on Twitter at Arrowwolf, ARAWULF. I also do a little bit of blogging at a site called thewolfden.com. James, how can people find you, sir?
Best to find me just on Twitter. I'm stalking the forums when I can. Anrez, ANHREZ, over at Twitter. Throw me an invite. I invite back because I like to hear you guys' thoughts and ideas and concepts about what's going on with the game.
All right, and Bill?
I can be found in a van down by the river, and also
You're
on
old.
Twitter, at real_lethality.
And to wrap us up, the man that makes all this happen, the man behind the curtain, is Chief Sarkhan. Chief, how can people find you?
Well, at 140 characters a time, you surely can find me at Chief_Sarkhan on Twitter. I also have a blog that I keep up, kind of, which is themmochief.com. You can find all my ramblings, writings, and articles there when I'm not publishing on mmorpg.com. Be sure that you give mmorpg.com some love for letting us promote this show on their channel. And keep an eye out every Friday for their Crowfall column, where we, the MMO writers, do write about Crowfall weekly. It's great having you on our show and talking with us, and we hope to see you on our next show in a couple of weeks. Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.
See
Peace
ya.
out.